Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Shout out to everybody out there on Team Banky Pound, man. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. We out here, man. We trying to get it, man. We on the road to 100K, man. So everybody who's watching, everybody that's with TBP, man, I ask you to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Check your status. Make sure you subscribing. Make sure you sharing these videos. You liking these videos. You making comments in the videos. Talk to me. Y'all know I talk back. You know, just talk to me. Hit me in the comments. All of that helps the algorithm, moves our channel even further, gets it out there more to more audience. That's what we want to do. We want to try to spread this message, man. Let people know what prison is really like so these young people out here can make better decisions, you know, before they put themselves in a position that they can't get out of, man. Trust me, it's easy to get in there, very, very, very difficult to get out. So share these videos, like these videos, man. We was on this road with these prison stories, man, and I'm taking y'all from prison to prison. I'm gonna take a little break and tell y'all about some of these characters that I've already told y'all about that's in these prisons, on these certain institutions. I had a lot of requests for different stories of people that I've already talked about. I'm going to try to go back and hit a couple of them every now and then. So right now, I want to give y'all the story about Boo Boo and Charles, man. Boo Boo and Charles. Gangster couple, man. A gangster couple. Yes, in prison, man. So let's get on with it, man. This was Augusta, man. You know, Augusta, like I told you, I went to Southampton receiving. Then I went to the Wall, and then I went to Augusta. So this is my third stop. And when I got there, like I say, it was new to me, man. We was way in the mountains, man. Them people up there was very, very racist up there. It was a new institution. It was fairly new, so they was learning rules and regulations. They was learning how to run a prison as inmates and convicts was learning how to do time, because there was a lot of dudes on there that was just being locked up for the first time, as I was, you know. So a lot of dudes was in their first bit, a lot of dudes was in their first stages of their bit, a lot of guys, this was the first place that they had ever stopped. So, you know, like I said, it's my third stop, and as I told y'all, when I went in one block, I met Towns, and I told y'all about Towns and how, you know, he had three boys at the time. I told y'all boy is a prison name for a homosexual. So he had 3 at the time, but also I told y'all about Boo Boo and Charles. Boo Boo and Charles was a couple, man, and Boo Boo was, you know, quote unquote, the homosexual in the couple, you know, the girly one. He looked like a girl, you know, he had a lot of feminine features. He had little small breasts. I don't know if he had, you know, work done to him or whether he was taking hormones or whatever. He was a light-skinned cat with green eyes, and he was real feminine. He act feminine, he dressed feminine, he talked feminine, and he messed with a dude named Charles, who was a big dude, man, about 6'4", slim cut, but, you know, muscular. You know, he played basketball every now and then. He was good on the basketball court because, you know, like I say, he was tall and he was decent in the paint. And, you know, every time they had basketball game, he would definitely get picked up. He'd be somebody that was on the court. But he was in this relationship with this cat Boo Boo, and everybody knew it, you know. And when I got on the institution and I had heard, you know, rumors about him, you know, little wars they had been in, little fights they had been in, and, you know, beefing with other people. And at this time on the institution that I was on Augusta, I think Augusta was, being that they was fairly new and they didn't really know how to deal with these situations, they kind of like catered to the homosexuals on the institution. all of the homosexuals on the institution, they kind of like catered to them. And, you know, like if you had a beef with one of them, or one of them went into the administration and said something about you, you know, or that you was pressing them or saying something to them, they'll move you, or either they'll lock you up for investigation. I think they was doing that because they was new, they was scared, they was, you know, in fear of a lawsuit, discrimination, whatever the case may be. The homosexuals on Augusta at that time had a lot of power, man. A lot of power. If they didn't like who they was in the cell with, they could request to be moved and be put in the cell with somebody that they wanted to be put in the cell with, just because of this, on the fact that they were saying that they was being pressed or they was being, you know, bullied in the cell. So the administration more or less catered to them and put them where they wanted to be, and in the cell with who they wanted to be. Now, later on, when I got in my bid in other places and other institutions, you know, they didn't care nothing about that. You know, you gonna go where they tell you to go, you gonna sleep where they tell you to sleep, and if you ain't like it, then that was your problem. You probably be the one ended up going to jail. You know, so at this time though, it was totally different. You know, I was early in my bid, and like I said, I think they was in fear of lawsuits, so they more or less catered to these the homosexuals on the institution. So when they did that, them homosexuals had a lot of power. You know, just by word of mouth, they can have you in the cross real quick. So I ain't say nothing to none of them because of the simple fact that I didn't want no beef with none of them. I didn't want nothing to do with none of them. So I stayed out of their way, and that was that. You know, that was me early in my bit. I didn't, you know, discriminate against them or nothing, because whatever they doing with their life, that's their life. I ain't got nothing to do with it. But at the same time, I didn't want to have nothing to do with them, because I didn't want to be in no situation where my name came up into something, or that I was, you know, being associated with one of them where they could say, oh, I said this or I said that, then I find myself in the cross. So I usually just walk by them, keep my mouth closed, whatever the case may be. But Boo Boo and Charles, man, I remember when I got put in the block with them, and like I said, I had heard about them already, but now I'm seeing them, and I see how they operate, man. And I'm talking about, this was like a real domestic couple, man. I mean, out of 7 days out of the week, man, about 2 or 3 of them days, they might be just knocked out, dragged out, fighting, man. Each other, you know, arguing, screaming, fussing, cussing at each other, throwing each other's property outside of the cell. You getting out of here. You moving up out of here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm sorry. I love you. I mean, they do all of that in front of everybody, you know, in front of the COs, in front of the convicts and everything, man. It was like surreal to me, because I had never seen nothing like that. I had never really been around nothing like that. So, you know, when they used to jump off, or when they used to get into altercations or something, man, it used to just be weird to me. I used to just be sitting back. I remember I used to be talking to my cellie about it. My cellie had been locked up a little longer than me, so he knew he had already been on the block before. He used to give me all the little background stories about him, about, man, they do that all the time. They always rumbling. They always fighting. Then they'll make up. You'll see them out there sitting in the pod, eating their meals together, talking, laughing, smiling. And then later on that night, you might just hear them in there hollering and yelling and screaming and cussing at each other. Man, it was crazy. It was pure chaos. But the thing about both of them was, no matter how much they would fight each other, and no matter how mad they would be at each other, if you said something to any one of them or had a problem with one of them, oh, they was most definitely gonna team up, and they was coming at you, man, and they weren't scared at all. I'm talking about whatever it took. If they got to use the Bethlehem, they gonna use the Bethlehem. If they got to rumble, they gonna rumble. Now, they try to avoid this at all costs, because when that do happen, you gonna get locked up. And when you get locked up, then they separated. You know, they separated. They locked up, they separated. So that was something that they didn't want to do. But when it came down to them type of situations, they went all out, man. I mean, they get the rumbling at the drop of a dime. I told y'all about the situation that happened with my cellie, with Junie, and how he owed Charles some money. And, you know, Charles ended up knocking him out because he was mad. at what was going on with him and Boo Boo at the time. They had problems. So that irritation and frustration that he had on him, that he probably didn't want to take out on Boo Boo, he ended up taking out on my celly because my celly owed him some money. And that's how that situation had started. But other situations that I had heard about or seen with him, I've seen a couple of situations with him myself from me being around him. I can remember one time they was I spoke about this, but they was in the gym, and Charles was playing basketball, and in the gym on Augusta you had the gym, you had the full court basketball court, you had the game room over here to the side where they had a couple of games in here. Then you had the pool room where they had the pool table and stuff like that where dudes could play pool. So I can remember we was down there one time and Charles was on the basketball court and Boo Boo was supposed to have been in the pool hall trying to shoot pool. So they in there shooting pool, and one of the dudes had said something foul to Boo Boo. Boo Boo had said something back to him. So the dude started calling them all, the derogatory names, all the gay stuff and all of this, that, and the third. So Boo Boo told him, then you keep running your mouth, I go get Charles and make Charles whoop your ass. And the dude was like, man, ain't nobody gonna whoop me. Ain't nobody gonna whoop me. I don't care who you go get. You da-da-da-da, woo, call them all them names. Boo Boo went straight out there, out the game room, went straight to the court. Charles on the court. Charles, come here. Come here, Charles. Charles just walked off the court, man. The people had to stop the game. Somebody take my place. Somebody go take his place. What's up? Oh, you need to come in here and whoop him. Whoop who? Such and such and such. He said such. What? Yeah, go whoop him. Yeah, I want you to go whoop him. Man, that's all it took. That's all it took was for Boo Boo to say something to him, and the dude is war ready. He going. And like I told you, he ain't no little dude. He ain't no chump. You know what I'm saying? In regards to what he was into, he's still a man. You know what I'm saying? And he's a big man. Man, Charles came right up in there, went right up in the pool hall, and dudes started going over there because they see it. Dudes even stopped the game to go over there and see what's going on. So Charles go up in there and confront the dude. So the dude's like, look, man, don't pull up on me. And Boo Boo just get him. Bang, bang. Charles take off on him. So they in there rumbling hard as I don't know what. But dude got some other dudes in there with him that roll with him. So while Charles rumbling with him and getting out on him, so then they started to jump Charles. They go jump on him. When they go to jump on him back then, we had these big boom boxes. We could get the boom boxes like you see on Do the Right Thing, like Radio Raheem. We could have those back in the day. We had these big old boom boxes. So Charles and them in there rumbling, man. It's like a melee, man. It's like 2 or 3 dudes. They trying to jump on them and everything. Man, Boo Boo go over and grab somebody's radio that was in there because we could, bring them with us to the gym or walk down the boulevard with them or take them out on the yard. Man, he grabbed somebody's radio, big radio, ran up behind one of the dudes and BOOM! Bust him in the head with the radio. BOOM! The radio broke apart, pieces flying everywhere. They in there in an all-out melee. Then the dudes get hit in the head, he fall down, he get up, he look behind him. Then him and another dude try to jump on Boo Boo. So they double banking Boo Boo. Boo Boo fighting back like a man, they rumbling. They turn the whole place up, man. Somebody done called a 1033, the COs. So now the police is on the way running down there. They in there rumbling like I don't know what, blood everywhere. Ain't nobody had that Bethlehem, thank God. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody would have got killed in there because they was getting it in. They won't bull jive and they was getting it in. So they rumbling. 2 dudes now, they done chased Boo Boo outside of the pool hall. So he inside the gym bagging up trying to fend off 2 dudes. So Charles in there rumbling with 2 or 3 dudes. So then I guess they figure like they ain't gonna be able to get to Boo Boo before the people come. So they turn around and try to run back up in the pool hall room. They jump on Boo Boo. They jump on Charles to help him deal with Charles. Because Charles was something to deal with, even though it was 2 or 3 dudes. Charles was bigger than them. And I'm telling you, the dude could rumble. He could flat out rumble. So Boo Boo done ran and grabbed a pencil or something from somebody and run up in there, but the police is coming in there as well. So they bum rushing in there trying to get in there. So while they running in there trying to figure out who rumbling and who's, you know, who on whose side or whatever, and try to get some control of the situation, man, Boo Boo done ran in there with the pencil and turned around and hit one of the dudes. When he turned around, stabbed him right in the side of his cheek. Wow! So, I mean, with pencils right in his cheek, man, put a hole in the man's cheek. So the police get in there, they telling everybody, get out, get over there, get on the ground, get over there by the wall. So they run in there, they tussling with him and everything. They get everybody all down and everything. Man, there's blood everywhere. Dudes is busted up, bleeding and everything. They take Boo Boo and Charles, they got them cuffed up. They got all the dudes cuffed up. They got them all up against the wall and everything. And then they start ushering them out, take them all out, take them to jail, man. Took them all out to jail, man. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So they get locked up. So when they get locked up, you insane. But see, like I say, back in the day, this is new. The prison is new. Situations like that, later on down the line, you know, when you get in a situation like that, they gonna move you. You know what I'm saying? You might get sent to Mecklenburg, you might get sent whatever, but it is a new institution. So they filling up these beds and they filling up this prison. So you have to have a real history of that type of violence before you end up getting sent to Mecklenburg. But they just ended up going to the hole, and they was in the hole for a while. They in different places when they in hole, so they're not together no more. But like I told you, when the time come up for a fight like that, if no one gets seriously injured, you probably gonna come back out on the yard. And that's exactly what ended up happening with them. Yeah, they ended up coming back out on the yard, you know, month and a half later. You know, they ended up, you know, getting back in the cell together because the administration already knew that they was together. Whatever they put Boo Boo was gonna complain that they was being harassed, that they couldn't sleep with their cell partner, that the cell partner was discriminating against them or whatever. So they would just take them and make sure they put them right back with Charles. So wherever Charles went, Boo Boo ended up where Charles was. Charles wasn't going to accept no cell partner. He was going to be difficult and beef with the people. So the administration just kept putting them back together. You know, they ended up coming back in the block. They in the block again in the same cell. You see what I'm saying? So that's how they was rolling. But people knew. If you was new on the compound, you was gonna hear about them when you ran across them or whatever. People would say, "Oh yeah, that's Charles and Boo Boo," or "That's Boo Boo and Charles." So you already knew what the count was. And like I say, they get back in the pod, they get back in the block, they end up doing the same thing. They still beefing with each other. They loving each other one day, they arguing and fighting the next day. They together, but they against everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And Charles was a soft-spoken dude, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't like boisterous and stuff. Even though he was big, he went to the weight pal. He worked out. You know, like I say, he played basketball. He was a big dude, but he didn't carry himself like a bullet. You know what I'm saying? He was soft-spoken when you talk to him. It was calm, like, yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, well, you know, boom. That's how he talked. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it was, you had a lot of dudes on the compound that was more or less indulging in that type of activity, but some of them was ashamed of it. They would try to hide it. They'd be sneaking around, doing whatever they was doing, trying to keep it on the low. That wasn't them. Everybody knew who they was. The administration knew who they was. All of the convicts knew who they was. Everybody knew that they was together. But a lot of problems came too because by Boo Boo looking so much like a female, and dudes that was into that type of game, they used to try to, you know, sneak and holler at Boo Boo on the down low, or try to, you know, shoot their shot at him. And Boo Boo would always end up going telling Charles, and hey, you got Charles coming up, pulling up on dudes like, look, I mean, you got a problem with my peoples or something, you know, I mean, don't be saying nothing to them, you know, they ain't messing with nobody, that's my peoples, you know, I love them or whatever, don't say nothing else to them, woo. And every now and then, somebody might, you know, scream on them and say, man, I ain't say nothing to the people, man, what did you talk? And boom, next thing you know, he in a rumble. And if he in a rumble, you can rest assured, Boo Boo coming too. Boo Boo gonna put their work in. Anytime he get in a fight, he gonna jump in it. Bar none, without hesitation. He ain't gonna waste no time or no nothing. He coming with it. You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, it was incident after incident with them. I was surprised that they was able to stay on the compound so long. They lasted on the compound longer than I did, because I remember when I ended up did getting transferred, when I ended up going to Mecklenburg, they were still there. As a matter of fact, when I left, they was in the hole for another incident. But they stayed on the compound. They was on the compound before I got there. They was on the compound after I left. I don't know how long they ended up staying there in totality, but I know they was on there before I got there. They was on there when I left. And other incidents I seen with Charles and them, I've seen Charles outside on the basketball court, and he would go out of his way not to get in any type of altercation if he can avoid it. You see what I'm saying? Because of the simple fact, like I say, he didn't want to be separated from Boo Boo. You see what I'm saying? But Boo Boo had a nasty mouth. They used to say stuff to people that would make somebody want to, whoop him. But he stayed saying it because he felt like he's going to fight anyway, and he got Charles, to have his back. But Charles, like I say, he was different. He was low key. He would go out his way to avoid trouble. But every now and then, when you get on that basketball court, I don't care who you are. In prison, if you get on that basketball court, you will end up getting in some type of drama, some type of altercation, because dudes is out there with their ego, their testosterone. Everybody think they Michael Jordan. Don't nobody want to be Scottie Pippen. And, like I say, he liked playing basketball, so I guess he knew what came with that. You know what I'm saying? So he get on that court and every now and then he get to argue, and dudes will think he weak because he might back down. He might say, all right, man, you got it. So dudes, when you show weakness in the penitentiary, dudes show aggression. You see what I'm saying? Because they think you weak because you scared, but you may be weak because you may be meek, not weak, but you may be meek because you might be, I ain't trying to get no charge, I ain't trying to go to hole, I'm just trying. But he had a different situation. He was being meek because he won't try to get separated from his people. So dudes may take that as weakness and just start pressing them. I remember, like I say, he was out there one day, he got to argue with a dude. He said he won't play no more. He stepped to the sideline, somebody take my place. I ain't with it. He on the sideline, but the dude still running his mouth, still talking trash to him. Boo Boo over there playing volleyball or something somewhere, and somebody must have said something to them about it. So they walk over there, start talking to Charles, tell Charles, don't let him keep on running his mouth. He keep on running his mouth, whoop his butt, whoop his ass. So the dude now, he start talking trash to Boo Boo. Like, you ain't got nothing to do with it, bitch, you need to mind your business. F this, call them all these type of names, the derogatory names that they call gay people. So that's all it took. Boo Boo say, what? Charles, you gonna let him talk to me like that? You gonna let him talk to me like that? Charles like, don't worry about it. He just running his mouth. He ain't doing nothing. He ain't touched us or nothing. Nah, whoop him. Whoop him. He want to whoop him, give him a whoop. So dude like, yeah, come on, give me a whooping. Give me a whooping. He knew not what he asked for. He knew not what he asked for. So Charles said, that's what you want? That's what you want, man? He said, yeah, that's what I want. So, man, Charles got up, go over there, start walking towards him. Next thing you know, they scrapping. And Charles is getting out on him. I mean, boom, bang, throwing him down to the ground, getting on top of him, letting him get up. Every time he get up, bang, bang, knock him back down again. He couldn't whoop him. It wasn't no way he could whoop him, but he still running his mouth. So Boo Boo on the sideline like a real cheerleader, like, whoop, that's right, get him, Charles, get him, F him up. So boom, after he keep telling the dude, man, stay down, man, you can't beat me, man, just go ahead on, man, go ahead, leave me alone. So dude still trying to get up, trying to save face, and then Charles trying to keep the situation on the low because he don't want the police to come, because once the police come, that's the ball game, you going to jail. You know what I'm saying? You going to jail. It's just that simple. So dude then, when he get up the last time, he like, okay. So he started running around like he going to look for something. Like he trying to find somebody to give him that Bethlehem, or he might go pick up a bat, because we got the bats out there. We got the horseshoes out there. We got the weights out there. It's dangerous out there on that yard. It ain't no question about it. So you can find a weapon out there. If you don't find a Bethlehem, you can find a weapon. So when he started running around like he going to get some, then Boo Boo and Charles went ahead and started walking like they was going to try to go back into the building. See, you could go in the building on Augusta back in the day. You can come out and you can go in. You know what I'm saying? But when you come out for rec, when it's time to go in, everybody got to go in. But if you try to go in before rec is over, you ain't going to be able to come back out. So they started walking in there like they was going back into the building, you know what I'm saying? Because they trying to avoid the drama and don't, you know what I'm saying, get locked up. So as they going back there to the building, dude couldn't find no Bethlehem. I don't believe he could, because he went and got some horseshoes. Now, we got steel, big, real horseshoes like you play the horseshoes. Them things weigh about 2 pounds a piece. So he done went and grabbed about 3 horseshoes, and he running like he running towards them. So they look back and they see him coming. So they start running. They take off. They take off and they run into the building. Dude chasing them to the building. They ended up getting to the entryway. When you get to the entryway, you got a CO right there. So when they get to the entryway, they go on through the entryway, and then dude coming, but dude slow down because he can't get in there. If he try to get in there with them horseshoes, the people gonna lock him up anyway. You see what I'm saying? So they ended up getting in the building. The dude ended up turning around, come back. He trying to save face because he bust up. He ain't bust up bad. He got a busted lip, you know, a couple of little scrapes and scratches from being slammed on that concrete. But he ain't really want to accept that. You know what I'm saying? Because now everybody looking at him like, technically they saying, man, you let the homosexual beat you, woo, woo, you know, put the battery in his back. So now he mad, but he ain't in the block that we sleep in. He in the block next door. So now they beefing. They got beef going on. And Boo Boo and Charles, them, man, they scrap up with that Bethlehem. And they telling them, if you come out on the yard with that foolishness, man, you know what I'm saying, we gonna give you the business. You know what I'm saying? Straight up like that, we gonna give you the business. So he ended up getting a couple of his buddies. They come out on the yard. Boo Boo them go out on the yard the next day. And they out there, man. And everybody scrapped. And Boo Boo was out there scrapped too. It may be a homosexual, but like I told you, when it come time to go to war, he gonna stand beside Charles and he going to war. Whether they get killed, beat up, win, lose, or draw, they together. They a real live gangster couple up here in the penitentiary. And I'm seeing all of this, like I say, for the first time, man, and it just blows my mind, man. But they was out there that day, man, and everybody was scrapped up. Everybody talking about they gonna do something, but it ain't nothing end up jumping off. Dudes end up talking the situation out, telling them, let it be, man. You know, you fought the dude 101, let it go. Don't worry about it, because y'all may get into some serious stuff. And dudes ain't want the yard shut down. Dudes ain't want to, you know what I'm saying, get the whole compound put on lock, because like I say, the compound knew. When them Bethlehems come out and people start getting hit up or stabbed or something like that, the institution knew. The only thing they know is to lock the institution down, and then they start sweeping the whole institution and shaking down every cell looking for weapons. So dudes more or less talked the situation out. He ended up having to wear that butt whooping on his own, you know what I'm saying? But like I say, this was constant. The whole time I was there, it was constant. Every time you turn around, Boo Boo and Charles was in something. And whenever they was in something, they was always going to be together. But at the same time, when they get back to their cell, they could have just been out there arguing and on one accord with each other about enemy who they dealing with. But then when they get back to the cell, you can hear them in the cell just arguing like cats and dogs with each other, calling each other all types of names, calling each other all types of this. Oh, I'm sick of you. I don't want to be with you no more. I'm leaving. I'm going in another cell. Why? I'm going to get away from you. But that wouldn't even last no more than 20, 30 minutes, man. And they'll make up. And next thing you know, they out there eating. They walking the chow together. They go everywhere together. You will rarely see one of them without the other one. Wherever he went, if he went to the yard, he went to the yard. If he went to rec, he went to rec. If he went to eat, he went to eat. You know what I'm saying? That's the way they carried it. And like I say, anybody who had beef with them, man, they you know, you had to understand who you was dealing with, because you weren't gonna deal with one person. And you may have looked at Boo Boo like, oh, that's a homosexual, they ain't gonna do nothing or whatever. You was gonna be sadly mistaken. Because like I say, they gonna grab that knife. They're going to grab whatever is near to them, be it a boom box, be it a pencil, whatever it is. But if Charles get in something, they going to get into it. If you say anything out of the way to Boo Boo, Charles going to approach you. He going to talk to you first, and he going to say something to you and let you know where he's standing. But if you got a problem with it, he going to rumble. It's simple as that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what ended up happening to him in the end. I've heard things, so I don't want to speculate. You know, like years later, that both of them ended up getting out. You know, I don't know if they still with us or not. I heard that both of them had eventually passed away. I heard that Boo Boo had passed away, and I heard that Charles had got killed in the street somebody had shot him. So I don't know if any of that's true, but that's just, as far as that part, I just heard it, so I don't know. But I do know that they was the first real couple that I seen, you know, in the penitentiary that won't go on for nothing. And, you know, they was going to be together, whether they had to fight the administration together or whether they had to fight convicts or inmates together. They was going to be together, man. So, you know, I say all that to say, man, like I say, that was the first gangster couple I seen. Now, I seen more down the line, but I was new in the penitentiary. So everywhere you go, like I say, you learn more. You learn different things and you see how people carry, and you get a new sense of how penitentiary is as you go on. But when you first get in and you seeing these things, man, these things blow your mind. They blew my mind. I had never seen nothing like that. I had never seen, you know, two men in a relationship, let alone, you know, see them in a relationship where they dedicated to each other and they willing to die together or for each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they was willing to do. And everybody on that compound knew that without a shadow of a doubt. So I know anybody who was on Augusta in the 80s and in probably the early 90s, they know about Boo Boo and Charles, man, because they was legendary on there. And like I say, when it came to getting busy, going to war, don't let that fool you, man, because I've met a whole lot of homosexuals throughout the course of my 33 years that was homosexual, you know, in nature, but when it came down to time to fight or go to war, or I met some that was just super dangerous that you ain't want no problems with. You know, irregardless of their sexual orientation, they was still a man, and if it needed, you know, to be shown that they was a man, they would show you, you know what I'm saying? So don't get that twisted or don't stereotype nobody, because just from being in prison alone, I always knew and I learned that, you know, even though they are homosexual, they still a man. And some of that, you know, will come out of them at the right time if you oppose them in the wrong way. So, you know, like I say, prison is different, man. It's a different beast. It's a different reality from what people is living out here. People don't know what's going on in there. That's why I tell these stories, to educate y'all, to let y'all know what's going on in there, because I had to learn as I was going. And each stage that I was in and each prison that I was in was a different lesson. And I was learning as I go, and I was inventorying all this stuff in my head, so I knew how to move, I knew how to act, I knew what to say, I knew who to be around, I knew what, you know, how to deal with certain situations from everything that I inventoried in each step that I went down the line. And like I say, it's a learning experience every day in prison, man, because you're going to see something in prison that you probably never see out here in the real world. People are going to act a certain way in prison that they may not act in the real world out here. But that's just how it go. And man, those was some crazy times, man. But I just wanted to drop that little information on y'all because of the simple fact that y'all had asked about Charles and Boo Boo. And yeah, I'm gonna talk to y'all too about Angelo Ford, Safu, a whole lot of other characters that I met during this ride, man, that was unique in their own kind of way. But like I say, it was all a learning experience, man. And like I say, every lesson, man, there's a blessing. The blessing is that I learned these things early. You know, I was able to see them and inventory them in my mind and be able to use that as a learning tool going forward. Never judge a book by its cover. Never take anybody for weak. Never take anybody for weak. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing with their personal life, what their sexual orientation is. Everybody in prison is dangerous, man. Everybody has the potential to take your life. Every situation has the potential to be, you know, start from 0 to go to 1,000. So you always got to be on point when you're in prison. You always got to know your surroundings, and you always got to know all the players in the game, man. And it's crazy. It's just a crazy life. And for that, I would tell you again, young fellas, these things is going on in prison that you have no idea about. Please don't put yourself in that position to ever be locked up, to ever be caged up, and have to deal with these type of things, man, because it goes on in prison every single day, on every compound, on every prison around the world, man. So if you out here in this free world, be blessed, be thankful, be humble, and do what you got to do to stay out here, man, because it ain't no fun in there, and it ain't no guarantee you going to come out once you go in, man. But anyway, that was just a quick little interlude for these prisons that we going to, man. I just wanted to stop and tell y'all that because of all the people who asked about it. But, you know, like I say, in every lesson, man, there's a blessing. The blessing is I'm out here now and I'm able to tell y'all these things so you'll never have to experience these things yourself. TBP, salute, man. I appreciate y'all out there, man. Y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions. And I'll see you in a minute, man. And duck the hook. Bang!
The Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.